Trump lifts sanctions on firms linked to Russian oligarch Oleg Deripaska.
Here's a summary of the article.
The Trump administration on Sunday lifted sanctions on 3 companies, including the aluminum giant Rusal, linked to Russian oligarch Oleg Deripaska. Democrats had led a push in Congress to continue the restrictions. Earlier this month, Senate Republicans blocked an effort to keep the sanctions on Rusal, N+ Group and JSC Eurosebenergo. Some lawmakers from both parties have said it is inappropriate to ease sanctions on companies tied to Deripaska, an ally of Russian President Vladimir Putin, while special counsel Robert Mueller investigates whether Trump's 2016 presidential campaign colluded with Moscow. Trump administration officials and many Republicans who opposed the effort to keep the sanctions in place said they worried about the impact on the global aluminum industry. They also said Deripaska had lowered his stakes in the companies so he no longer controlled them, a sign the sanctions were working. In its statement on Sunday, the U.S. Treasury said the 3 companies had reduced Deripaska's direct and indirect shareholding stake and severed his control.
This post received a score of 59,793, with an upvote ratio of 81%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
Republican senators cited concern over global aluminum supplies as their rationale. After throwing tariffs on Canadian and Mexican aluminum, claiming a national security threat. And #X200B. Fucking unreal.
The Republican Party is now officially the party of treason.
So, let me get this right, reduce restrictions on Russian aluminum but continue tariffs of Canadian aluminum. A country that invaded Ukraine vs the US's longest ally and neighbor. What the fuck is going on down there? Sincerely, a Canadian.
It's fucking mind-blowing. Canada. The nation of 36 million. With no nukes. One of the largest undefended land borders, and it's with the U.S. ally in a number of wars. The country that took in stranded Americans during 9/11 is a security threat for selling steel and aluminum, but Russia isn't. Good then. I guess they never did get over us burning down the White House. And there are Canadians that support the orange twat. Greater than with no nukes. I'd like to remind everyone that just a few months ago, Russia threatened to nuke Florida, by means of animated CGI graphics showing their fancy new nuclear missiles annihilating the U.S. state. I think that deserves some kind of fire and fury verbal warning.
They showed this to Trump beforehand. Missiles falling right on to Mar-a-Lago and he handed the keys over to Russia. Not my beach house, Trump. That, a few emails and the PP tape was all it took to take down the mighty USA.
Well, and a lot of morons who voted for him, and still support him to this day.
Australia here. Obviously Donald's been super busy with this stuff, but we still don't have an ambassador. Just saying. We're definitely still allies, right?
German here, we do have an US ambassador, but he really isn't worth it. You should feel lucky about it, and if one example isn't enough, there is also the US ambassador to the Netherlands.
That interview with the ambassador to the Netherlands blew my mind when I first saw it. Guy says, "That's fake news, we would call that fake news," and literally like 10 seconds later he says, "I never called that fake news, I didn't use that word today."
It's beyond anything imaginable. I don't have the English words how I feel about it. It could be right out of a Monty Python movie. It's beyond ridiculous, but still this guy has the cover of the US administration.
The poor reporter, looking around like WTF.
Are you hearing this hit?
Subsifilva.
Well, that doesn't look the slightest bit suspicious.
No collusion.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.